What's up guys, Elfis here, and today we're going to be doing another HoN versus. This time we're doing Pyromancer versus Gauntlet. And versus is where I take these two heroes, I pit them against each other, 1v1 solo mid, and I'm going to tell you who's going to win, why they're going to win, and what the losers should be doing, alright? Let's jump into this guys, here we go. Okay guys, so first of all, who's going to win? Well, who's going to win? I would say that Pyromancer will win this, and I'll say that Pyromancer should win this for a couple of reasons, okay? And now we're going to get into why they would win, okay? Pyromancer's going to win this. Why should he win? He should win for a couple reasons. First of all, Pyromancer has a much easier way of farming as opposed to Gauntlet, okay? Pyromancer has a long-range attack. His damage is significantly less, I'll give you that. However, when you're dealing with a ranged hero versus a melee hero, that you should assume that the melee hero is most likely going to have a hatchet. Not in every single circumstance, I don't think. There are cases when he won't, but the majority of the time he'll have a hatchet anyways, so you're going to be losing to him attack damage-wise in almost all cases. However, and he'll probably have a shield, FYI. Not always. Sometimes he'll skip a shield and do other things, but it's a common occurrence, to say the least. Okay, So I'm going to assume he's going to have Hatchet Shield, just for argument's sake, for the rest of this, okay? So he will be able to outlast hit you damage-wise, okay? However, what you have is the ranged ability, as well as the heavy nuke damage, okay? Pyromancer is very well known, and I'm sure all of you are very familiar with his ability to do crazy amounts of damage. I almost said shit tons of damage, but, you know, I said shit anyway, so it doesn't matter. Shit tons of damage for in a very short period of time, okay? I'm sure many of you have noticed when he walks up and pops his combo and ults you, and then you die fairly quickly once he hits level 6. That tends to happen quite a bit. However, we're not gonna assume he's level 6 at the start of this anyway. So what we are going to do though is we're gonna take into account his nuking capabilities. Okay, Gauntlet has a fair amount too. Hence the reason I thought it would be nice to pit them against each other to see who would actually win. However, Gauntlet's nuking capabilities don't really start to take off until you hit about level 4. About level 4 is when they start kind of taking shape, so to speak. Before that, they're just a little bit weak, so to speak. They don't really have the luster that, you know, Pyromancers do, and a lot of the reasoning is because for the mana cost that they have early on, they don't really deal the damage that you would like. Whereas Pyromancers, they deal the damage on top of the fact that he has a fairly significant stun, which allows you to hit in a few auto attacks on top of that. And auto attacks early on, people underestimate. They often underestimate the ability of one's auto attacks to deal damage to an enemy. So it's something that people need to take into account more often. I think that they don't. However, Pyromancer will win for that sole reason. He'll win because he can zone him out. Now, what I will say for Gauntlet's case is if he plays it well, he should be able to get a fair amount of last hits, a very fair amount of last hits actually. He should be quite fine when it comes to the last hits area. So I don't think he'll do amazing. I don't think he'll be flawless, but it should certainly be enough, so to speak. Okay, I don't think he'll have a free farm here, but he should have enough to do, you know, to get a decently timed bottle, maybe some decently timed boots, things like that. So Pyromancer should win because he should be able to zone him out. On top of that, Pyromancer can farm waves fairly easily. Once he gets a few levels in, it's usually about 5, I think, maybe 4. I don't play Pyromancer too much, but about 4 to 5 when Pyromancer can start taking his abilities and just nuking waves down, especially if he's getting runes for the bottle charges. He'll have all the mana that he'll require for that, and you know, it shouldn't be too hard. Now then, now that we've taken into account that I think Pyromancer will win, although it will come down a lot to, you know, player skill and things like that. Gauntlet is certainly not out of, you know, it's not like he's totally going to lose the lane. I just think all else equal, I think Pyromancer would win this. Now that we've determined that, I want to go ahead and mention to you guys the rune situation. Okay, so well, let's talk about what the loser should be doing. So the loser in this case is going to be Gauntlet. So in my scenario, okay, I'm assuming all else, and that's just mine. It is a debatable thing. I'm sure somebody might argue that Pyromancer would lose this, and it is all well possible. But I think for at least the first 5 levels or so, Pyromancer should be fine. I don't think he should die to Gauntlet. I don't think he should necessarily get any kills either, but I think he will be absolutely fine. Okay, so what should the loser be doing? The loser is Gauntlet in this case, okay? Well, first of all, the loser, Gauntlet, should probably not be going for any runes. He probably will not be able, don't attack Pyro, please. He probably will not be able to beat Pyromancer to any of the runes. He can try, most certainly, but I think that Pyromancer will most likely win when it comes to the rune race. Now, there are certain cases, and again, it comes down to skill. Gauntlet could most certainly, you know, use his grapple and infernal Infernal Gauntlet, is that what we call it? Yeah, no, Infernal Instability, sorry, to maybe make his way ahead and things of that nature. Infernal Stability does a movement slow, this does a movement slow, you know, his grapple does a short little stun, I believe it's a mini stun, actually. No, sorry, it's a legitimate stun, sorry, I take that back. So it's a legitimate stun. So he does have that. He has that going for him. He could maybe beat him there. I would not recommend it for the first 5 levels, however. Once you get your ultimate, it's a totally different story. If you can be the first one to pop your ultimate quickly off, you know, not get hit by Pyromancer's stun, it comes down to a bit of skill there. Pyromancer lands the stun and his whole combo. I think Gauntlet would die fairly quickly. I think it would be a close call, but I don't think that he would be able to withstand the damage. So there's that. What I will say is that they're both very heavy nukers, okay? So when you're fighting for the runes, so to speak, which you can do, especially once you hit 6, you just need to be careful in that sense, for both heroes, for that matter, assuming the other one's also level 6 and you don't have an advantage on them, of course. They're both very heavy nukers, so they can both nuke down the other fairly easily. However, Gauntlet happens to be a strength hero on top of that, so if you'll notice, I'll flip back and forth here for a second. I want you to keep an eye on the health. Not the amount of health they have, but their maximum health. Gauntlet happens to have a significantly higher health bar, you know? Health bar. It's not crazy higher, but 200 at this point in the game. It's about, you know, about 170, sorry. So 170 at this point in the game is a fairly significant amount of health to have over your opponent, okay? I'm going to assume they're full at this point, you know, that's just, I just want you to keep an eye on the fact that he can tank more damage. That's the point I'm trying to make, okay? So he will most likely win the fight if he's full health. I want to make that clear that if they both have their full skill load, they both hit their full skill loads, I would say Gauntlet would win that fight, okay? So keep that in mind, they're same level, all else being equal, things like that, okay? So, with that being said, you should fight them for the runes once you hit 6 Gauntlet. Gauntlet will be losing up until 6 probably, but at 6 he should be able to turn it around. Now, the other thing you can do after you're getting runes, of course, again, the fact that they're both heavy nukers, you can assume, not always, but most of the time when they're nukers, they're heavy damage, they're heavy gankers too. It's not always the case, but the vast majority of the time it is the case. And these guys are both heavy gankers. They both gank very phenomenally, especially if they get nice rune, and if they have their ultimates up. Their ultimates are really, especially Gauntlet, they're really key ganking abilities. Pyromancer doesn't need his quite as much, but it is still, you know, obviously useful. So, with that being said, you just want to, you know, gank as much as possible, really, and that goes if you're losing or winning. It really doesn't make a huge difference. The loser and or winner should really just be ganking as much as they can, getting runes if you can. You can farm here and there in mid, in between, if there are no ganking opportunities available, of course. However, ganking is your primary goal as either of these heroes, although, again, they both scale decently well into the late game. So, actually, not again, I haven't mentioned that yet, sorry. They both scale decently well into the late game, so, you know, that's something to take into account. Even though they're heavy gankers, both of these heroes tend to scale decently well, although I do think Pyromancer scales a bit more so because of his fervor. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name of the skill, so I had to check. Because of his fervor. It helps him quite a bit with his auto attacks, and on top of that, his spell casting and attack speed, too. So, he has that little ability going for him. However, you know, I mean, Gauntlet has Enfeeble and thing, you know, his ultimate scales nicely. It's still useful and all that, you know. So I mean Pyromancer's ultimate's useful too, but you know what I'm trying to say. So they both scale decently in. They're both heavy gankers. Gank. That's the key to take away from this. Either whether you're winning or losing, you should be ganking. Okay, that's your job in this game. If you're not doing your job, not to say that you're useless, but you know, it's not quite what, you know, you'd want to be doing, hopefully. So there you go, guys. That's what you should be doing, the loser or the winner, really. It's really the same either way. It's just that the winner will have an easier time doing it. Unless, of course, Gauntlet can get a nice kill or two on him once he hits 6, which he most certainly is capable of, so there's no reason to be too scared of him, even though Pyromancer is known for being one of those heroes that'll just beast out crazy amounts of damage in a near, you know, negligible amount of time. So that's something to take into account. So, you know, if you can get some kills, that'll be nice, which you're very capable of, so just keep that in mind, guys. If you have any questions or any, not recommendations, sorry, requests as to heroes you would like to see pit against each other in versus, feel free to post in the comments, inbox me, whatever you would like to contact me in any way, shape, or form. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. I hope you learned something. I mean, it's another, I like putting these ones that are very close, that are very, you know, not necessarily identical heroes, but they have very similar roles and very similar capabilities in mid lane. I like putting them against each other so you can really break down the nitty-gritty to see, you know, why did certain heroes have certain advantages. They're both gankers, right? So which advantages are for which hero, you know? And of course I didn't cover all of them, but, you know, I tried to cover ones that were, you know, useful to winning mid lane. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, if it was useful, you know, feel free to let me know. I like hearing that kind of stuff. You know, if you liked it, maybe let me know in the comment section. You know, that'd be cool for me. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys later. GG, well played, guys. Elfis out.